Hi guys, this is Dean. Just got a quick message for you. When we were recording this episode, something happened with the connection and with Trent's mic. And so especially during the part with Vesper and Trent talking, there's just a lot of like static or weird clicks. I tried to edit most of them out. Just recovering that audio was pretty hard. So if you ever hear a sentence that gets cut off or some weird clicking, or even if I repeated a question from earlier, I just took the recording from when he's talking to Cassiel and moved it over to Vesper. I'm just trying to make it so you guys could hear it nicely, but there's going to be some lower quality stuff in there. Sorry about that. That's all for now. Please enjoy this episode.
We return to the party, still standing on that rooftop, overlooking the Heroes Plaza, desecrated. The day has been long and short at the same time. Much has happened in the last 2 days. Devils still overrun the city, and as the party begins to help civilians throughout the city and killing the devils, the day passes in a blink of an eye. They rest that night, sleepless for some, and wake up in the morning ready for the Templar interviews. All right, Cassiel, it is good to have you here with me in this interview.
Of course, I'm grateful that you'd still do this after everything that's happened.
Of course, you're friends of Horus. We need to get these done quick. Please follow me this way into this room, and your two friends can sit over there on those couches.
All right.
You follow Glib into a small, dark room with just a single table in the middle and chairs on either end of the table, with a single white light shining down on them from above. Glib sits on one end and gestures for Cassiel to sit on the other end. As you sit, he pulls out several papers and looks at you. All right. Now first, Cassiel, do you swear to tell the truth in this interview?
Yes, I swear.
As you say that, you feel a sudden binding around your tongue and your heart. You feel the inability to lie. All right. We shall start this interview with the first question that everyone has asked. Why do you want to join the Templars?
I'm looking for answers for bad things that happened to my family. And the Templars are probably the best way that I'm ever going to find those answers and gain the ability to do anything about it.
I won't prod into any personal family matters. I just need to make sure you knew that not everybody joins the Templars for the same reasons. Everyone joins for different reasons, and that's fine.
That makes sense.
What interactions have you had with the corruption in the past?
I've killed a corrupted creature or two, small ones. Well, I guess I killed whatever it was possessing. And then I'm pretty sure that my family was murdered by something that was corrupted. And that's about the extent of it.
I'm sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
Right. Unfortunately, the interview is not going to get any less impactful.
Oh, well, that's fine.
All right, he says with a smile. Moving on. Have you ever killed anyone?
Yes, I have.
Why?
Self-defense.
Self-defense.
Do you need more than that?
No.
All right.
That's fine. It's a fair reason to slay people. What is your biggest regret?
I left my family for the sake of greed. And I was gone for 80 years.
Oof. It's a long time.
Yes, it is.
If you could go back, what would you have done differently?
I probably wouldn't have left.
Yes, I suppose that is a fair assumption. Have you changed?
Oh, I have changed.
Then the regret was good. If you find that one of your friends, maybe one of your party members or any of your close friends, someone you trust with your life, has done something unforgivable to you, what would you do? How would you react to that friend?
Well, I think it would depend on what they did, but unforgivable. I'd probably try to talk to them, probably try to understand why they did what they did, and bring them to redemption, of course. I probably wouldn't stay with them. Depending on the situation, it's kind of hard to predict for blanket statements, but if they did not back down and me or my other party members were in danger, I'd probably take them out.
If one of your personal friends was corrupted, would you be able to take them out?
Yes, I would.
Those words cannot come out of your mouth.
And Cassiel kind of like stops, because those are the words that he tries to speak. I don't think I can at the moment take them out. I don't know what I do.
Glib nods his head and writes something down on his paper, and then looks back up and says, yes, many situations are hard to decide what you would do in advance. A lot of decisions are made in the moment. That is why we try to make as many decisions as we can in advance. That way, in a moment, we can act instead of having to think. But it is fine. All right. Let's move on to another group of questions, some more scenarios to ask.
All right.
If you had to choose between that single important friend or family member or someone you love deeply, or a group of 100 people you don't know, which one would you save?
Again, I think that would depend on the situation greatly.
Let's cut out all the middleman. There is no differentiating the situation. Either one group dies, or one group and the other group lives, or vice versa.
Well, that's impossible.
Which group do you decide?
Well, that's impossible. There's always a situation. There are always variables. But I think that I would probably, and again, it depends on who that important person is, and depending on who that person is, I'd probably save that person. There's a few people I'd probably save instead of the 100 people.
Why?
Because I've already done so much wrong to those people, and I seek redemption, and I love those people.
In a fight, with many allies on your side, and you see an opportunity, the fight is going poorly, you see an opportunity to sacrifice yourself and save all of those allies, would you take it?
Yes, I think I would.
Why?
I think that I've been around long enough, and their life's probably worth more than mine.
That last sentence cannot come out of your mouth.
But the
first part is fine, but the part where their life is more valuable than mine cannot come out of your mouth.
I think that my life is
The I think comes out, but their life is more valuable than mine does not come out of your mouth.
Well, this is an interesting spell I'm under. I can't say exactly what I think.
Glib smiles for a second and says, yes, this is a powerful artifact in this room. One from the ancient days. And it requires truthfulness. Not just our perspectives, but pure truth.
I don't exactly like that. Cassiel's just like tapping his leg as he realizes like what he was trying to say and what it didn't allow him to say.
Glib just smiles and says, many don't. We only use this room for interviews, and that's all.
Do you need more than that for that answer?
If you have more to give, I would love to hear your thoughts. If you do not, we can move on.
Well, like I said, I've been around a long time, and I think that other people probably have potential in their lives that I would rather see fulfilled.
You value potential more than aged.
Honestly, yes. Obviously, the more I can save, the better. If there's an old man who's dying, I'd rather save him than leave him behind. But if there's an old man and a child, I'd probably save the child.
He looks down at his notes and he writes something down. And he writes for a little while. And after a little while, he looks up at you and says, well, Cassiel, what? Gotta go back into Glib's voice. Well, Cassiel, what is your biggest fear?
Being alone.
He looks up and says, really? I won't pry. I'm sure it's personal, but it's a fascinating fear for you to have.
I was alone for a very long time. I'm not a fan.
Neither am I. That's why I like to surround myself with my friends.
I'm learning that sentiment.
It's good. It's a good sentiment to know, good sentiment to have. Cassiel, once you are a Templar, what are your future plans?
I'll probably search for information on people that have been corrupted. I'll probably search for information on arch-corrupted beings, because from my research currently, those are the only intelligent forms of corrupted.
Glib nods.
And I'll probably keep investigating what happened to my family. Probably try to make some money to make all those endeavors come to fruition. And I'll probably keep adventuring with my companions.
He nods his head and writes stuff down into his notes. Then he looks up again and says, well, Cassiel, you've been very helpful in this interview. But what are your biggest concerns in joining the Templars?
My biggest concern is that movement might be limited. That I might not be able to achieve those goals or help my friends achieve their goals.
I wouldn't worry too much about that.
It's good to know. I look at Cassiel looks at the truthful German, looks back up at Glib, and as he says that, I'm like, yes, true.
Well, there's no truthful gem, and Glib didn't swear.
Cassiel doesn't really know.
That's fair.
How it
That's
works.
fair. That's fair.
I thought you said there was a white glowing gem on the table.
There's a single white light from above the table, shining down.
Then he kind of looks at that, because that's the only thing he can think of that's protruding truthfulness.
That's fair. Glib says, well, I only have one more question for you. What faction of Templars would you plan on joining, and why?
I think that I'd probably, knowing my goals, you just heard them, I'd probably join the Shadow ones.
Yeah, to be expected. Khan has put in good word for you.
Oh, I appreciate that. He's a talented man.
He is. And I'm going to assume your why is from your previous answers as well, your investigation with the intelligent corrupted and the art corrupted?
Yes, from what I know about the factions, they're probably the ones that will give me the best way to do those things.
It's true. They are some of the greatest information searchers.
And don't they deal with corrupted humans as well?
They do indeed deal with corrupted humanoids, but corrupted humanoids are different than the intelligent corrupted.
That's true.
When the art corrupted came, it was a group from each of the Templars that really put him down, but now, don't tell anyone this, but it was really the pure Templars that helped the most.
That is interesting. If I were to join the pure Templars, they're the ones that actually have more rules, don't they?
No, the Order Templars have the most rules.
Okay.
But the pure Templars definitely have their fair share of requirements and rules.
If I joined the pure Templars, do you think I would be able to still get to the answers I'm searching for?
I think that all depends on your own actions.
Which one do you think would be easier?
I believe being one of the Shadow Templars might best fit your needs, your searching of information.
Right, that's what I was thinking.
Well, Cassiel, do you have any questions you want to ask me?
No, I don't think. Well, how much of a discount can I get on sending scrolls?
He laughs for a second, just, I am not in the mercantile business. I'm in the political business.
That's fair.
You'd have to talk with, again, the pure Templars, actually. They're the ones that would be forging those kind of crystals.
So they're the ones with the oracles, right?
Yes, indeed.
I'd have to talk to them then.
Well, Cassiel, thank you. And he stands up and walks to your side of the table and sticks out his hand.
Cassiel shakes it.
And he says, thank you very much, Cassiel. If you could go out the door and send in Vesper, that would be phenomenal.
All right, I'll go get him.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Glib.
You're welcome. Vesper, you walk in to a small, dark room. A single table in the middle with a chair on either end of the table. Glib, sitting at one end, looking at some papers and contemplating. And as he sees you walk in, he waves you in and has you sit down at the other end of the table. There is a single white light hanging from the ceiling, shining down in a circle around this table. As you sit down, he looks up and says, Vesper, thank you very much for coming in today.
Yeah.
Before we begin this interview, I would like to say I was very encouraged with you and your party helping us with killing all of those devils.
Is that what they were?
Yes, that's what I was told that they were. Earlier this morning. Let's get on with this interview. Before we begin, I must ask you this most important question. Vesper, do you swear to tell the truth in this interview?
Yes.
As you say yes, you feel a binding around your tongue and your heart, and you feel you have lost the ability to lie. Very well, Vesper. Why do you want to join the Templars?
Vesper just has his scroll, and he pulls it out and he says, I'm doing my best to follow this. And he hands it over.
You hand it over. Yes, I can't read a word of this. Do you know what it says?
Yes.
Is it, you don't need personal details, but is it...
I mean...
Is it anything important?
Yes. Most of it I actually cannot read. But there is a passage... Freya's on his neck.
Oh, okay, yeah.
There's a passage there in the top right corner that's about Freya, and he gestures towards Freya.
Sees this picture of Freya and looks up, nods his head.
And then the passage there right in the center is the one that I am able to read. I was given this by the unknown god, apparently. Do you know about him?
Sounds like... How can I know about you?
If you go visit the temple, the priestess there will tell you all about him.
Boy.
But this is what it says. It says, vigilance. The shadows are here. Defeat them. The reflection approaches. Stop him. Discipline. Magic's blood is corrupt. Cleanse it. The wounds of the world bleed. Seal them. Loyalty. My soul is restless. Comfort it. My family is divided. Unite them. I showed this scroll to Horus, because actually when I approached Horus, the line, magic's blood is corrupt, cleanse it, started glowing. When the blue hand attacked the priestess in the temple, the reflection approaches, stop him, line, glowed. When the devils were summoned, my scroll caught on fire, and the line, the shadows are here, defeat them, was glowing. I had somewhat of a vision where the statue of a cheetah moved in the temple, and it gave me this key, and I hold out the key. And when that happened, and other times where I've been near shrines of a cheetah, it's the line, my family is divided, unite them, glows. And Vesper sits back in his chair and says, you're welcome for that knowledge dump, Glib.
Glib just slides the scroll back to you and then just holds the bridge of his nose in his hand and just says, I was trying to ask if it was your moral code or if it was something you strive to follow and why, but I don't want to know any more about this. I want to know more about this, but we can talk about this later. Outside of this interview process.
You want to know if it's my moral code?
Yes.
I want it to be. I don't know if it is. I just know bad things happen to me when I don't follow it.
Glib nods his head, looks down at his notes, writes something down, circles it, looks back up and says, we will be coming back to this at a later date, and we might have a long conversation about what this scroll is and the implications it might have on the world.
Good. Yeah.
But I need to go through the rest of my questions.
Of course.
What interactions have you had with the corruption in the past?
I think the only time I've seen it in person was when it was in the forest near Stagrest.
Those words cannot leave your mouth.
One time was in the forest near Stagrest.
He nods his head. Any other times in the past?
For some reason, I thought that was the only time. But it won't come out.
Glib nods. Yes, this truth spell is potent and interesting.
I guess I have run into the corruption before.
But didn't recognize it.
Yeah.
Interesting. Looks down at his notes, looks back up. Have you ever killed anyone?
Yes.
Why?
They were trying to kill me.
He nods his head. Very similar response to what Cassiel said. Very similar response to what most people say. What is your biggest regret?
My relationship with my brother.
Why?
I feel like I owe it to my mom.
Nods his head. If you find that one of your friends, maybe one of your party members or any of your close friends, someone you trust with your life, has done something unforgivable to you, what would you do? How would you react to that friend?
If it was truly unforgivable, I would break ties.
If one of your personal friends was corrupted, would you be able to take them out? If that person was corrupted, what would you do?
I would free them.
Lib looks up with a start. And then he looks around the room for a second. Very surprised that those words were able to come out of your mouth. And then he looks back down at his notes and frantically writes something down before looking up again and says, "Well, Vesper, that's not an answer I thought I was going to hear. I thought I could hear."
What were you wanting to hear? Or what did you think I would say?
Well, most people want to say that they would kill them. Or try to say they would free them. But it's a lie. It can't come out of your mouth.
Because they wouldn't, or because
Because they couldn't.
Because they couldn't?
But for some reason, you were able to say those words. That you would free the person. And this ancient artifact that detects only the truth was able to tell that it is possible for you to do that. Which defies all expectations.
That's interesting. I don't know what that means.
Neither do I. But what I do know is that makes me want you to get the... I can't even speak. It makes me want you to join the Templars even more now. I have a few more questions, but I don't even know if I should ask them. Well, I'll ask a couple more. Maybe we'll skip over some of the other ones. What are your biggest concerns in joining the Templars?
My biggest concern would be that joining them would, I guess, tie me down, or certain protocol would make it so I can't follow this scroll.
He nods his head. What faction? Actually, the Order faction? Hopefully? Yeah, it winks at you.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding of the Order faction is that it's the most tied down.
Yes, I suppose it is.
I don't know if I would join a faction or not.
Factionless.
Because we talked about that before, right? That is a possibility.
It is a possibility. Though I thought that was going to be what Blank wanted, not what you wanted, but I suppose that is a possibility. Well, I guess, Vesper, do you have any questions for me? Do you have any concerns that you would like to bring up?
I do have a concern. It's about Cass.
What about him?
So, the whole devils, that's what they're called, devils?
I suppose the proper term might be fiend, but devils works as well.
Okay, well, those fiends that were coming from the sky yesterday,
the person who summoned those is Cass's daughter.
Glib looks up very surprised. What?
We first saw him with Captain Ragnar in the warehouse district, trying to perform a ritual with a cup, with some kind of big goblet. It was magical. She escaped, but I guess Cass identified her as his daughter, which I don't know, he hasn't seen in a long time. And then yesterday, she was bringing those fiends here. I don't know how the ritual worked, but she was performing some kind of ritual with that cup from the day before. And I guess my concern is we were trying to stop them. That's why we were up on that roof. That's where they were. When you all destroyed the horde, that's why we were up there in the first place. That's why Cass was taken out, was because he wouldn't take action. Like he ran up to his daughter mid-ritual and just tried to talk to her. And then because he didn't do anything, she was able to complete it and then escape. I'm just concerned because he's a good guy, but he just seems unreliable.
So what you're telling me is you think those questions I asked you earlier about someone close to you doing something unforgivable, you think that potentially Cass could have forgiven her for such a thing? Or that you think even if someone does something unforgivable, he is not able to act?
Vesper looks at the light and then back at Glib. I guess it depends on what you count as unforgivable. But
this is a valid concern. Thank you for bringing this up.
Yeah.
I'll have to...
I just don't know if I want to trust him with my goals.
Well, thank you. Thank you for bringing that up. That's a certain light to his interview previously. He had trouble answering that question. I suppose he's either very forgiving or too unsure. Thank you. Thank you again. I believe that will conclude our interview, Vesper. If you could send in Blank on your way out.
Yes, will do. Thanks, Glib.
Of course. He stands up and walks across the table and your hand.
Vesper shakes it back.
And remember, we'll have a deep conversation about this scroll and its implications another day.
Of course.
But for now, send Blank.
Of course. Okay. Thank you. And Vesper walks out.
Blank, as you walk in to the small, dark room that your two friends have previously been in, you see a small table with two chairs on either end. Glib is sitting at the far end of the table with several papers that he's looking through and writing other notes down. There is a single white light hanging above the table, shining down in a circle. As you walk in, he looks up from the papers and says, yes, Blank, please sit down, and gestures to the chair across from him.
I slowly pull the chair out and then sit down, possibly breaking the chair.
The chair is invincible. It doesn't break.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I sit down. And Blink is going to keep his head kind of lowered a little bit.
Glib looks up. Blake, what's wrong?
Why am I here? What's the point of this interview? I don't remember having an interest in being a part of the Templars.
Well, when your two friends showed up, they handed me invitations from Horus. And, you ended up handing me a blank sheet of paper. I'm not sure if you lost your invitation or something, but I figured we might as well. If you do not want to be a part of the Templars, we can end this interview here and now.
I mean, if they're doing it, I might as well give it a shot, right?
I suppose. Suppose it's worth it. Blank, before we begin this interview, I must ask you a very important question.
Okay.
In this interview, do you swear to tell the truth?
Yes, I don't see why I wouldn't.
As you say yes, you feel a binding around your voice box and something in the center of your body, your core, and you feel that you have lost the ability to lie.
Can Blank make a perception check to see if he can find candles?
Sure.
12.
There are no candles
Aw,
in this
dang
room.
it.
This room is, there's nothing else in this room but this table, the two chairs, the light above you, and the papers that Glib has, and the pen that he's writing with, but yeah. Glib looks up at you and says, well, I suppose we can skip over the first question. We already know why you want to join the Templars. And the answer is that it's because of your friends. But what interactions have you had with the corruption in the past?
The only interaction with the corruption that I've had is in Stemdale, Stagrest, where we fought the corrupted. For a little bit, it mutated a deer, and then we left the rest of it to Horus after we killed the deer because the corrupted essence got away. But we ended up winning the competition because of the rack that it mutated.
You cannot say those words. You can say the first part of your sentence does not come out. You can perfectly say that you left things to Horus after that event and that you found that rack. But when you try to start that sentence, it does not work.
He'll pause and cock his head, because I'm guessing he notices that he wouldn't be able to say the first part. And looks at Glib a little confused, but we'll kind of shrug it off and continue sharing the story.
Glib looks at you. Have you interacted with the corruption any other time than that?
He'll shake his head and say no.
You cannot say no.
Wait, I do have a question about this. So, like,
Okay.
when I say no, can I, like, physically not say it, or is it, like, muted? Like,
No, you think no. And as you try to say those words, it just doesn't come out.
Glib, is this normal?
Well, I suppose, I don't know if it would work on you or what it would do to a being like you, but this artifact is from the Age of the Gods. It's never failed.
But I don't remember interacting with the corruption any other time than that.
Well, Vesper had a similar thing. He told me a similar story to that one, but he also was not able to say that was his only interaction. Seems he had a past interaction he has forgotten about as well. It's more normal than you think.
Okay. Is that, like, dock me points on this
No.
trial
It
thing?
will not dock you any points.
Okay.
But I suppose you wouldn't take that as a joke. Maybe I won't say that.
Wouldn't say what?
Nothing. We're going to move on to the next question.
Okay.
Have you ever killed anyone?
That's when he's going to drop his shoulders and bow his head kind of down and say, yeah. Yeah, I have.
Why?
Well, it was an accident, and he's going to lift his head up, and
You cannot say it was an accident.
he's going to close his eyes, and he's going to start sobbing. He doesn't understand why he would ever want to... Yeah, he's going to cry.
Glib looks up. What's wrong?
I didn't mean to do it.
You cannot say those words.
I don't understand this process. Can I leave?
Yes, I will not hold you here. But I do believe this might help you. This light, this artifact seems to be having a different effect on you than others. And as you told me in the past, you seem to have lost many of your memories. This light could help you recover them and potentially learn about who you were.
But if that's the case, I still need to figure out my emotions before any of that. 'Cause I didn't mean to kill him.
Can't say that.
And he's just gonna bang his fist and he's gonna get up and try and leave.
Glib doesn't stop you. He lets you leave and he says, Blank. As you reach the door, he says, Blank, who are you talking about?
I'm talking about Cassiel.
Those words cannot come out of your mouth.
He's just gonna walk out of the room. If he can't say that, he's just gonna walk out.
All right. You walk out. Blank walks out of the room that all three of you were just in and comes back into the waiting lobby with the couches that you have been sitting on. There's an awkward tension.
I'm walking past them. I'm just gonna walk back to the Shattersword Tavern.
Blank, are you alright?
I'm not gonna answer that. I'll just walk past.
Glib comes out with his stack of papers and closes the door behind him and pulls out a key and locks it. Looks at you two and says, you two may want to comfort Blank later. Things got a little interesting, to say the least, in there. But thank you both for coming in today for this interview.
Vesper's gonna whisper to Freya to go to Blank.
Okay. Freya jumps off and runs. Upon further consideration, Vesper, we shall swear you into the Templars. Cassiel, we are not saying you cannot join, but you cannot join now.
Alright.
Come back in next time we interview if you still are desiring to join. You may still continue to train with us and look at our records, not any of the secret ones, of course. But as of now, you are not going to be sworn in.
Alright. Is there a way for me to get a weapon to deal with corrupted?
He shakes his head and says, No, only Templars are permitted to use our weapons.
Right. Okay.
I apologize. I know you have a recommendation from Horus, and that means a lot. That's why I'm saying you're not permanently banned. I just need to know you more.
Alright.
Vesper, Would you prefer a short sword or a long sword?
For
your magicite weapon. If you rank up in the Templars, we can eventually make you a more specialized weapon. But as you are only a grunt, he smiles, we can only offer you the basic options. And depending on what faction you choose, more options will be available to you.
I'll take a short sword.
He nods his head. Very well. Glib waves you over and says, to swear you in, we actually need you to come back into this room.
Oh, okay.
I'm probably going to go talk to Blink.
That's a good idea.
All right. I'll see you all later.
Of course.
And I'll head off.
And remember, Cassiel, please do not be discouraged. We do want you to join eventually. I just need to know you better.
Not exactly sure what that means, but it makes sort of sense.
Glib just nods his head and then turns back to Vesper and says, follow me, Vesper.
He follows.
He opens the door again, leads you into that dark room, and then looks at you and says, real quick, do you swear to tell the truth?
Yes.
You feel the same binding around your tongue and your heart. And he says, Vesper, will you reveal the secrets revealed to you in this room to anyone at any point in time?
No.
Very well, follow me. And he walks to a wall, just the opposite wall behind the chair, and he puts his hand on it. And his handprint on the wall glows faintly, and then the wall sinks into the ground, and there is stairs that lead downward. Glib walks down these stairs and waves at you and says, follow me. Do you follow him?
Yes.
As you follow him down, it's not a super long stairway, just into what would seem like a basement. And you reach a section, and the lights are there's no lights. It's still very dim. There's just that faint light from behind and a faint light in front of you at the end of the stairs. And when you reach the bottom of the stairs, you see a door at the far end of the room that leads farther into who knows what. But Glib stops in front of a massive magicite obelisk that stands in the center of this room, reaching all the way up to the ceiling. These things are written on the obelisk. It says, I swear to fight the corruption wherever I face. I swear that I will never harm any being with my magicite implement unless they are corrupted. I swear I will not use my role as a Templar to improve my own political position or to manipulate or control anyone. I swear to not withhold my assistance from anyone for any purpose. And as you read the words, Glib waves you over, and as you walk up, you see at the bottom of this obelisk, there are names written in a red liquid at the bottom of this obelisk. And Glib pulls out a magicite pen that has no ink, and he hands it to you, and he says, well, as long as you agree to this written oath, prick your finger and sign.
Is he still bound?
Yes, Vesper is still bound.
To, the truth?
Yes.
But just his words, right?
Yes, just his words.
He takes the pen.
Okay.
Pricks his finger.
Okay.
And writes.
Sign what name?
He's about to sign. And then he realizes this is blood and this is important. And he turns to Glib and he says, I have many names. Does it matter which one I write here?
Yes, it does matter which one you write here. What do you mean you have many names? You go by different things, or?
In my culture, we have a birth name. We have a name we receive if we, as we rise the ranks of our society, I guess, is we like gain a new name.
This is an interesting thing. I do not know.
This looks like blood. And,
It is blood.
And I don't know if I want to sign the incorrect name.
I suppose try signing your birth name, your given name. I suppose that might work.
Okay.
I think that's what everyone else does, and it works. So, yes, try signing your birth name.
Okay. Vesper kneels down, because it's like at the base of it, or can he stand up and write?
He can stand up and write. This is a really, really big obelisk.
Okay, he finds a spot that's open.
Yeah.
And he writes Rogar on the obelisk.
No last name?
Does everyone else have a last name?
Some of the names do, some of them don't.
He writes Rogar Brightcrest on the obelisk.
The name flashes for a moment with a platinum light and then stops flashing. And when it stops flashing, you feel yourself bound to the oath that you swore that's written on this obelisk.
I'm going to need you to send me that oath.
I will. Don't worry about that.
Thanks.
And with that, Glib says, well, that's it. I suppose, you know what? Give me 1 second. He walks into the room at the end of this room, opens the door, closes it.
Is he expecting me to follow him? Or
He
no?
is not.
Okay.
If you try to follow him, he's going to say, no, wait here.
Okay.
Goes into the next room. After a little while, he comes out holding a sword. A magicite, pure white sword with a very basic leather strap wrapped around the handle where your hand would go. And he hands it to you.
Thank you. Vesper glances at the obelisk, and he says, is this where all the corruption essence is held?
Not this obelisk, no. I suppose Horus revealed secrets he was not supposed to reveal.
Yeah.
Horus.
Does he realize that there's a few other individuals which may know that information now?
He holds the bridge of his nose and says, I need to have a long conversation with that old man.
Yeah, I was trying to throw you off.
Those obelisks are kept in a different location. If this obelisk were to get corrupted, I don't know what would happen to everyone that wrote their name here.
Yeah, that wouldn't be good.
But, welcome. Welcome to the Templars. Remember to come back here, or any of the Templar bases, somewhat regularly to empty your magicite implement. It will slowly, as you fight more corrupted, it will slowly not only grow stronger, but more dangerous to use.
And I can only use it against corrupted.
You can only use it against the corrupted. And, as I said, make sure you empty it. This is pressing. Do not let it go darker than gray, or you will be in trouble. Not from, well, yes, from me and the other Templars, but also it will become dangerous to use. The more corruption in it, the more likely the corruption will come out of it into its user. It is incredibly dangerous.
There's a lot of shades of gray.
He pulls out a paper, and there are 5 colors on it. It's like a white to black gradient. Or I guess 6 colors. Black is the 6. And he says, these are kind of how we delineate between the different ranks of the swords when they reach these colors. Do not let it go past this 3rd color. And then he hands you the paper.
Oh, thank you. He
Yeah.
folds it and puts it in his bag.
Nods his head and says, yes, suppose you're going to be factionless, I guess. You sure you don't want to join the Order Templars? I could get you a cool crossbow. And he holds up his hand crossbow and is like, oh.
That crossbow is pretty cool. Is it a permanent choice?
Normally, yes. You can always switch factions, but I suppose most factions, if you switched, would not trust you.
If I was factionless, would they trust me if I joined?
Not with their secrets. But if you joined and you were factionless, they would trust you.
Wait.
If you were factionless and then you joined, they would trust you. If you were in another group and you
then
switched,
I joined,
they would not trust you.
Okay. Well, I'm going to remain factionless for now.
Glib nods his head and sighs. Well, I suppose I always miss the best recruits. And then he says, well, I suppose you should go meet with Blank, and I have to do some paperwork still, and starts walking up the stairs.
Is there a sheath that goes with the sword?
He looks back at you and says, oh, no.
I'm going to have to go get one then.
We can provide one for you. We just don't have like a magicite sheath or anything like that.
Yeah.
They'll be at a regular forge above. You can grab one on your way.
It just seemed like with Horus's sword, that thing was intense, by the way. He's got it inside a sheath, and it seems like it helped him control it.
I know. That is because Horus refuses to empty his blade. I do not know if it's possible for him to empty his blade anymore.
I thought he said it wasn't possible.
It's probably impossible. You just don't have any storage big enough. He's a very foolhardy man, despite being a hero.
And ancient.
That man is... I mean, I'm older than him, but he's ancient for a human, that's sure. And I'm sure you'll be older than him too as a wood elf, but... I suppose I should also add, using a magicite weapon increases your lifespan. So, keep that in mind when you marry and have kids
my will
eventually.
And stuff. Okay.
You'll live longer than expected. I'll probably think of something else I'm supposed to tell you later, and I guess I'll just send you a letter.
Okay. Thank you, Glib.
You're welcome. And you walk stairs out of that dark room, and you get a sheath.
Vesper looks one more time back at his name on the obelisk, then walks back out.
And that is where we're going to end that episode. Thank you, everyone, for listening. I hope you enjoyed the slightly different...
Ooh, that was an intense episode.
Oh, man.
I don't even know what happened in y'all's interviews, but I'm intrigued about Blank.
Yeah, seriously.
Each in own, which means they don't even know. This is very fun for me, personally. And I hope all of you listeners enjoyed it as well. Reach out to us on Discord. Tell us what you thought about this episode, or you can find us on Instagram. All of those things should be in the episode description or on our Podbean website, so you can go find those. But you know what would really help us out a lot? If you were to go leave a 5-star review for us on whatever media you're listening to us on.
And tell your friends too.
Yeah, tell your friends. Leave us a 5-star review. We will read it.
We'll shout you out.
Give
at
you
the
a
end of
shout
the
out.
episodes.
Exactly.
Love you forever.
We will love you forever. We already love you forever, but then we'll extra love you because we'll have a name. But that's all for this week. I'm Trent. I'm the DM for this homebrew campaign, and going around the table we have...
I'm David, and I play Cassiel De'Hart.
I'm Dean, and I play Rogar Brightcrest.
I'm Gordon, and I play Blank.
We'll see y'all next week.
Keep tuning in.